Welcome back to music class! Alright, boys and girls, today we're going to be going through and we are going to be learning all about the Woodwind family. Now, the Woodwind family is really deceptive because you think that it has to be made out of wood, and a long time ago, they were. Okay? So, modern day times, we use science and different materials to be able to make instruments out of anything that air can pass through. So the woodwind family is very, very diverse. Even the instruments that you'll find in the orchestra are not made out of wood. All of the flutes in modern day style of flutes for the orchestra, they're all made out of metal. Most of the piccolos you'll find made out of metal or out of resin, and many of the bigger instruments are made out of plastics or resins, and sometimes different types of woods will give you a completely different sound. Then we run into instruments like the saxophone, which is a woodwind instrument. And it's a woodwind instrument because of the mouthpiece that it uses. Now, today I'm going to teach you real quick a couple of rules for the woodwinds. First rule, the longer the tube, the lower the note. Any tube, and it really doesn't matter what type of tube you're listening to. Tube. Yeah, tubes. Quite literally, a water bottle is a woodwind instrument, which is really confusing and deceptive because that means any bottle that you come across is a tube. Whoa. Now, when we look at actual woodwind instruments, essentially we have two different types. We have whistle-based instruments, and we have reeded-based instruments. I'll pull that out in a moment. Whistle-based instruments essentially are a whistle with a pipe attached. Now, virtually every country, every culture, every type of group of people, they created some sort of woodwind instruments hundreds, if not thousands of years ago, based on a whistle and a pipe. That pipe could be made out of anything: wood, bone, metal, all sorts of different materials, but essentially they all work the same. As the tube gets longer, the instrument gets lower. This is an Irish whistle. It's called a penny whistle or a tin whistle, but it sounds like this. The cool thing is that when we look at woodwind instruments, we can make them in basically any shape or any design. I have dozens and dozens of different styles and shapes of woodwind instruments from around the world. Now, the cool thing is, musicians discovered that they could take those tubes and make them different lengths. Shorter tubes gave us higher sounds. Same exact instrument, longer tube, lower sounds. And because we understand that the longer the tube gets, the lower the note sounds, we can apply that to all sorts of unique and interesting instruments. Even instruments like the American slide whistle. Just a moment. Stuck together. The American slide whistle. Whistle with a plunger. When we talk about woodwind instruments, the reason woodwind instruments get their name, for many of them, is because they use a little piece of wood called a reed. A reed is a small, thin piece of wood that is cut and shaped to vibrate against part of the instrument. As we play with that reed, the reed will go through and be stuck against the mouthpiece. As it's placed on the very, very bottom of the mouthpiece, the ligature will hold it in place and allow it to vibrate. Just a moment. Tightened up. Too tight. Oh, I just looked at the time. Actually, because of our time check, we're going to go ahead and stop teaching this part so that you guys can learn from PJ to be able to learn about the rest of the instruments of the orchestra. But essentially, a clarinet mouthpiece works the same as a clarinet, a saxophone, English horn, and bassoon and oboe are going to have double reeds where they're double stacked on top of each other. But essentially, it's just a reed vibrating against the mouthpiece itself, and that sends the vibrations into the tube. Thank you, boys and girls, and I hope you've learned a lot.